Good morning, Breakfast Club family. Top of the morning to you. This is Mark Stevens with our host, Joe Troop. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. Got some good things to talk to you about today. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Got a lot of work done myself. Hope you did too. Hope you have got on board, and sideboard, and all those good things, and talked to some of your people. Hope you invited them to the Breakfast Club this morning. I'm going to say this, that you need to invite your people to the Breakfast Club. First, let me say good morning, Joe. How you doing?
Hey, Mark. Good morning to you as well.
Okay, let me just say a couple things, and I'm going to turn it right over to you. I thought about some things yesterday, and, you know, I'm thinking about this whole carrot bar situation and all the things that we've been talking about. And here's the thing. There are a lot of people in carrot bars that are not making any money at all. They're not even doing anything at all. And the reason is that I determine is that because they're not getting any help and they don't know what to do and they're frustrated. And what I'm saying is that you should invite them. If you know any people like that, you should definitely invite them and encourage them to come to the Breakfast Club. What is the Breakfast Club? We're here for education, with training, with sharing, and it doesn't cost anything to come to the Breakfast Club. I would, if I could find some place to go and it doesn't cost me anything, and I can get some education to get my business going, I would definitely do that. So what I'm saying, Breakfast Club family, is think about the people that maybe you haven't connected with for a while, and they're just sitting there, and talk to them and say, look, you need to get to the Breakfast Club. We're getting the education that we need to get our business really up and rolling, and if you want to do that, that's what you need to do. And then if you have people as well that you brought into carrot bars that's in that same situation, let's get them to the Breakfast Club. Let's get them started. Let's get them on board. Let's get them understanding onboarding, and let's go. Let's come on. Let's make the rest of the year a great year. If that's what you want to do. If not, then you know what? You're wasting your time with people. And guess what? As you've heard the saying, time is money. Your time is worth money to you. And my question is, how much is your time worth to you? And guess what? You're the only one that can determine that. Let me say this right quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to Joe. I need you to pay close attention, because I have some, for what I'm about to tell you. There's a threat to your bank account that is real, tangible, and happening right now. Europe's MO, for example, and its banks, they're beginning to collapse, and they've changed the ball in the model. And what I mean by that, and the rest of the world will likely follow. What I mean by that is simply this. In the most recent example, an Australian bank, for example, called Hypo Algeria Bank International AG, and that bank was nationalized in 2009. Guess what? It has stopped using the taxpayer's pocket as its private piggy bank. Instead, what they're doing is they're using the depositor's pocket, that's you, as its piggy bank. So what that tells me, that it's obvious that there's a shortfall due to the bank's asset review, and the bank's creditors, which are you now, will have to contribute to fill the shortfall. The government is not going to do it anymore. You have to do it. And so what I'm saying, it sounds like a bunch of banker speak, a bunch of banker talk, but the message is chilling. And so what I'm saying is that the bank has made bad investment decisions, like they all do, and your deposits are on the line. So please heed my warning, as I've been telling you for weeks and weeks and weeks. Get your money out of the bank before they steal it from you, because they're definitely going to do that. So with that being said, peace and blessings to you, Joe. I'll turn it back over to you, but I just wanted to warn my family.
Yeah, I think, Mark, that people need to know and understand. I think once we switch these cameras on and off, I think we get a little slowdown on here. And anyway, let's go back to talking points here, which is your terminology. I mean, many of you I can see that are here have been through a communication class, learning what terminology means, and more importantly, who you are. And I know many people go to the recording afterwards, so which is good because, you know, a lot of people can't arrive here in the morning on a regular basis, so they go to the recording. We see how many people do that. But we need to understand that what Mark said, you're not going to win here doing what you've done in the past and had no success. I know why people come here, and it's because they want to have success and they want to keep gathering information, but it is necessary to go to work. I saw one of our, what we've been doing in the last couple of days, Mark and I have been going over all of the follow-up letters in the marketing funnels, marketing websites. The follow-up letters are the letters that kick in once a person fills out their contact information, watches information that we've sent them, company overviews, things like that. Once they have done that, a different set of letters kick in. The invitation letters stop, and the follow-up letters begin. Thank you for watching, and so on, and continues to encourage them for about probably 20 to 30 days to make sure that we connect, have an appointment, go over the needs on both sides, which is a three-way conversation to get the person registered. So the letters kick in, but we're reviewing the letters to make sure that our terminology matches what we say, what we do, because the follow-up letters were written by another group when they actually created that, what is now known as AdTech Gold website. So we're reviewing those things and checking our terminology. Why? Because terminology equals perception. The terminology you use creates a certain perception. That's what it does. It creates a perception. We all know that. They all talk about first impressions. They're so important when you meet someone. And we don't have much time when we pick up a telephone and start to communicate with a prospect, what we call a suspect. That first set of words that come out of your mouth creates a perception as to who you are. We all know, we hear a voice that we've never seen a person, but we hear a voice, we make a decision on what they look like. I am wrong 99.9% of the time when I hear a voice and try to put a face to the voice and then actually see the voice. It's nothing like I had anticipated. Or created, I should say. We all do that. Some people are good at it and say, yeah, you look exactly like I thought you would look. You know, those words that we use create that image for us as to whether we are professional, we're people running around in that so-called network marketing field. And the perception that has been created for the word terminology of network marketing, or MLM, has been negative over the last 30 or 40 years. It's a negative statement or negative words that have been created. Why? Because of the way people have conducted themselves. The perception that was created was due to the way that person first talked to and probably continued to talk to the prospect. And it's all due to wrong teaching. And that's the memo for today. Getting the terminology correct. So with that, We could put people on the phone right now, right here, or on this hangout, and tell you how important it is and what's happened to them and how they changed since they learned how to conduct themselves when they pick up a phone, the confidence that they now have. That's the main thing that's happened to people. They learned to have confidence. Why? Because they learned who they are during a conversation. And that sounds very strange to most people that have never been through this class. They learned who they were. If you go to a fire, unfortunately, a negative situation where there was a fire and you pretend to be a fireman, you're in trouble if you're not a fireman. Nothing wrong with wanting to help and save people, but if you don't have the expertise at that scene, not only are you going to get hurt if you try to participate, you're going to hurt others. That's what's going to happen. You're not the fireman or the fire chief. And if you go in there as a fireman and you pretend you're the chief, you could endanger, again, yourself and other people. They have to know who they are when they walk in there. Just because they have their uniform on, just because they have had experience fighting a fire, they may not have experience leading a group of firefighters. It is the same here. If you pick up that telephone and you pretend that you're the manager or director or the person that knows and directs people, if that's what you do during that conversation, you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to hurt others. You're going to hurt the person on the other end because they're not going to have a chance to follow you. They're not going to want to follow you, especially if you don't know what you're doing. And I suggest to you that most people don't know what they're doing when they make a phone call. And I know that by the numbers. The numbers do not lie. I have challenged leaders to come to this call and show us what they know. And I have yet to have somebody step up and say, I'll show you. I know we've talked tonight. People have seen this and heard this. I said it the other day to Mark. What do you think would happen if I challenged a leader to come in here and let me fire away at questions? Or you could fire away at me. Let's see. In fact, let's put one of our top students on and let them fire away at them. Let's see what they really know. Can they direct the people and teach them? Can they do that? I doubt it. If you don't know how to answer questions with the right terminology, when a prospect who is on the other end with skepticism most of the time, even if they filled out information that said, we'd like to speak with you about managing a business from home with our company, watch this company overview. We'll get back together. We'll discuss the possibilities. Time is of the essence. Training will be provided. Serious people or candidates should reply. If they reply to that, are you ready? Is your terminology going to reflect that professional attitude that you put forth in an email? Pretty easy to look professional on paper. But when they get there, do they understand you? Do they respect you? Because they've come into the situation with skepticism, all of them. 98% of those people are hoping that this is the company now. This is the person I'm connected with. And when they get there, are you really the person? And again, if you're trying to be the big shot that knows it all when you call them, that's why you're afraid, because you know you don't know it all. And A, you know you're not making the money you want to make. You're not making that $4,500 a week that they claim in the 12-week plan. That plan is real. It's real. If you get your 2, they get their 2, those 4 get their 2, those 8 get their, and it continues on week after week. Of course, the numbers work out. You could make that work in 4 months. You could make it work in 6 months. You could make it work in 1 year. Get 1, get 2, who get 2, who get 2, and continue on. You put any month on it, any time frame you want. They happened to throw the 3 months on it, and it attracted a lot of people because the product was something everybody wanted. So a lot of people who were here at Karatbars in the beginning from 4 years ago all saw an opportunity, jumped on that bandwagon. Why? Because the terminology that was put out there, look at this new plan. We now have a weekly pay, a dual system, and a 3-month plan to get rich. People jumped all over that who were already here, now saw a way, a new magic bullet, a magical way to get there. I would challenge how many people did that and pulled that off in 12 weeks. There are people who did. Not because 2 who got 2, it's because they had large groups that they either introduced it to or were already there. And they all saw the value of purchasing the product on a weekly basis versus a monthly basis. See, all these companies are all structured so that the affiliate purchases and the customer purchases once per month. And all of the statistics are geared to once a month purchase. That's what they do. But any one of those companies could turn that around and say, let's do this every week. You would compress the time. You would then increase, obviously, you would increase the transactions by doing it once a week. 100 people purchasing once a month is 100 transactions per month. 100 people purchasing once a week is 400 transactions a month with the same exact people. That can be done in any company. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it's bad. Fortunately, in our company, we have a product that you're not buying and storing, going bad, or piling up with no value. If you do it once a week, once a month, every 2 weeks, doesn't matter. You're exchanging cash for gold here. That's what made this work. Because it wasn't buying a juice every week and storing it there and having all this stuff piled up with, which became worthless. Any company can do a 12-week plan. Any company. This happens to be the best one to do it with if you're going to do it. The terminology that you used, that you heard when this company decided to put that in place, created a lot of activity. And now, a year later or so, people are skeptical of it. Can I do it? Can you go in and put that in place and once a week make the purchase and do what this 12-week plan says you can do? Well, if you can do that, I encourage you to do that. Create an environment where you're showing people every week purchase gold, exchange your cash for gold, and in 12 weeks, if everybody does it right, you follow the formula works. Let's get down to a realistic level. You put that out there. And that's how you're promoting your program when you know you didn't do it, or you know very few people who did, creates a suspicion, and it creates an insecurity in you if you know it's not being done and you're telling people they can do it. Mathematically, they can. Let me make this statement. Not only do you have to do what's right for the consumer, you have to do what's right for the people around you, because in business, your reputation is everything. And we know what reputation we have established with our friends and family in this industry. That's why you're afraid to go to them, because your reputation is ruined with them when it comes to business, or what we call MLM, or network marketing. If you opened up a conventional store and had success, or you were even just in business breaking even, people would respect that you were on that corner as a businessman. But because people have jumped from company to company to company in the, network marketing field, the people around them have lost respect for them. You know that. That's why you don't want to talk to your friends and family and ask them to join another business opportunity. The terminology that you used every time you wanted to introduce them has created that perception. You couldn't show them results. The results you said were there, that your upline was getting, and that people are getting this kind of money, but not you. You have to learn what the terminology is. You have to learn first who you are. It's like that old, adage, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just the messenger. I'm just telling you about it. That's the same principle you want to have as the phone caller, the person making the phone call to the prospect. You're just the messenger, I don't care how big you are in the company. You're still the messenger, explaining to them what they need to do to get a good perspective as to what we're doing here, or what Carrot Bars is, and how it can help them financially. And more importantly, how they can help others financially. You should be able to pick up the phone if you've been in this company for 60 days. Maximum, I should say, 60 days. You should be prepared on how to pick up the phone and follow a pattern. Introducing yourself, telling that person why you're calling them, telling them what you want them to do, and after agreeing that they will look at information, or if they already have, through a marketing funnel, move them to a director, a person who directs them. That's why we use that terminology, who answers their questions as well and moves them to registration. But then it's the training that they get from that point on. In 60 days, they should learn how to pick up the phone and be able to use those 5 steps: introduction, reason I called, what I want you to do, set an appointment, and tie it down. And if that appointment means go to a director, great. Or it means move them over to a director, that's great. During that process, you have to have confidence. And the way you get that confidence is understanding who you are. If you are in training, learning the business, then your stance, your dialogue is different than the director who says, let me ask you some questions. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, and after a 5-minute conversation and asking them, after getting some information, asking them with a little coaching and training and a lot of support, can you see yourself doing what it takes to learn how to manage a successful business with our company? And then when they say yes and made that commitment to say, yes, I can see myself doing that, you direct them to registration and then find out if they have any further questions for you before you leave the conversation. That's what a director does. I said something to an upline the other day. Nobody's doing a three-way conversation for me unless they know and understand that. I don't want you getting on the phone and asking them how the weather is in Iowa. I told them right out, I'm not going to do that. And go into a conversation how wonderful the company is and start explaining comp plans. Not happening on my watch. I just want to know, are they coachable? That's what Safford taught us. Are they coachable? And if you have a director on the phone who's using the right terminology, creating the perception of leadership, that person will follow. And if you don't know how to do that, if you're going to get on the phone the old-fashioned way and start talking about the weather and how your brother and sister used to visit their area all the time and you've been there too and how wonderful it is and how great it's going to be with our company, and that during that conversation, I would want to know how that director was doing. If you're going to tell me how wonderful it's going to be. Our job is to get that person to understand the value of not just the product, but of our company, what the direction our company is going, which is helping families become financially free. That's a great word, and independence one thing, but becoming free. Creating the freedom for that family to look into the future, to say, we're going to make it. We're not going to end up like the rest of the people at retirement who are broke. Our business presentation points that out perfectly. What has happened to our baby boomers? It's happening to our millennials. It's happening to everyone unless they have an education on how to communicate their message. They have a pattern to follow, and they have the right terminology to create the perception of professional business people. Once we do that, people will follow. If you have enough courage to drop your guard, put your ego aside, and learn what you need to learn to be successful so that people will understand that the organization they're coming into is professional. If your upline isn't doing that, then you be the upline now and start your business from you on. I suspect that no one on this call has had an upline build a downline for them. I know they promise it. I had an unbelievable conversation yesterday, Mark, with someone. I won't tell you even what happened or how it all went down, but it was unbelievable what they have this person doing and the money they have him spending. To follow their pattern, which is producing nothing for them. I wish I could. I don't have the permission. I don't even know if I'd say it. It's just unbelievable what some of the leaders are doing to those people. Financially. Taking money from them for some type of education, which isn't even happening. It's another story, I guess, but that's what led me to this conversation today. That I'm watching people out there who have no direction. The first direction and instruction should be educate yourself. Learn what it is that you need to understand about yourself and your business. Learn how to communicate that message and connect with your prospect with professional language dialogue and terminology to create the right perception. We are a company that can help people save their family. Buying gold once a month, starting at 60 years old, isn't going to change someone's financial future overnight. You'd have to be doing that for 20 years. Once a month is not even an ounce of gold a year, right? So saving an ounce of gold, half an ounce of gold a year, which is not even a half ounce, is not going to make you wealthy. Doing it once a week, little over an ounce a year, almost 2 ounces a year. Is that going to make you wealthy if that's all you're doing? I don't think so. I mean, if you're 25 years old, 30 years old, and you're doing that, when you get to retirement, you're going to have a nice little piece. The important thing is that you teach your family, to teach those young people something we didn't learn when we were 25 years old, and that is to protect your financial future. Create the legacy for your family. Be one of the families that are sitting there on a pile of gold instead of a depleting, devaluing dollar for 40 years. So we're back to the basics of help people get what they want, you'll get what you want. Help your family, help your friends. Give them the information. We have 3 or 4 different websites that produce the message that people need to hear. If you're just going to help your family, you get the friends and family website. And you show them the business you're in and how important it is for those people, not only for themselves, but for their families, to accumulate gold, to protect their future. Then look for people. If you want to be in business, your job is to spend 90% of your time looking for people like you who want to make money helping others. That's your job. And how you do that will determine whether you're going to be successful or not. Do you have a routine? What do you do every day when you get up? I know when I owned my brick and mortar business, I had no choice but to follow a pattern. I had to be at work at a certain time. So obviously I had to be up, showered, dressed, and at my business, prepared for business. Getting it ready before anybody else arrived. So I had a routine. When I got to networking, after selling my businesses, I didn't realize I was in a routine that I had planned out. I just knew I had to do it until Safford told me. I was fortunate enough, Mark, to work side by side with Bob Safford for a number of years. Office right in his complex. Became friends with him. But he told me, you have to have a routine. What do you do every day when you get up? What time do you start making your phone calls? Do you haphazardly do it? My answer was yes. I didn't really have a scheduled time. I wasn't really planning my day. I was getting my job done, but it was haphazardly. Are you letting people interrupt you? All this texting, phones coming in, oh, somebody's on the other line, I got to go. When you schedule an hour and a half to 2 hours to be making phone calls, whether they are calls for recruiting or helping your people in their recruiting process, you need to turn everything else off, he told me. Nothing gets in the way because that's your appointment time. You have to establish that routine, that pattern of behavior that creates success. If you're going to make phone calls Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Monday through Thursday, 2 hours a day, then that time is set aside. The only time you should be picking up that phone, if you're qualified to do a 3-way call, you should be watching for that. That's it. Phone calls from friends and relatives and, one of your associates, not appropriate at that time, he told me. So my point is, have you established a pattern? Do you have it written down? When you get out of bed in the morning, what do? That's part of the pattern. I know what I do every morning climbing out of that bed. It's the same routine day after day after day, the same pattern of behavior. So if we establish that, it becomes second nature to us. We don't have to think about it or look at our notes to see if we're on to the next task. Part of that task during the day is brushing up on terminology. I have my scripts, Mark, is 20-some years of helping develop, the copying, learning scripts. I still have those scripts in front of me. They're available to me if someone calls me. Even though I rarely use them, they are sitting on a table. If I need them, I can turn the page. Do you have those ready for yourself? Are you going over that terminology on a regular basis, listening to it on a recorder, or reading it and hearing yourself, answering the questions, creating the professionalism, surrounding yourself with that aura of professionalism? Are you doing that? I don't know. To become better at what you're doing, it takes practice. It takes an absolute practice session with yourself, with other people, which is why we put people together, until it becomes second nature, so that you can be, no matter where you are, you can answer the questions that arise if someone calls you. So, tip of the day, study. Get the terminology down. When someone asks you, where did you get my name? If you're working from a cold market, you have two answers. If you're brave, you can clearly say, Frank, are you familiar with the methods corporate recruiters use to locate quality people? And he says, well, yeah. And if you're able to say, well, we use the same method, so Frank, let me get that information over to you, then we'll get back together and see if we're on the same page. Did you say Wednesday was good to get back together again, or would Thursday be better? If you can conduct yourself without a gap and assuming what you said was acceptable to him when you answered it, great. If he comes back with a look, I realize that I'm familiar with those methods, but can you explain a little bit more? And you say, sure, that's not a problem. We work with several companies who supply us with names of people who at one point were interested in managing a business from home. You know, we work with several of those companies. Frank, are you still interested in managing a business from home? Your name was on one of those lists. Are you still interested? See, if you can't answer those questions like that, and you're not prepared, it just means you didn't do your work. You didn't do your homework. You will be at the same place you were a year ago, 2 years ago, and 5 years ago, still trying to figure it all out when it's right in front of you. The answer is right in front of you. It's you. It's the education that you consume in your mind so that it is routine. The answers are routine for you. If they ask you, are you making money? Do you have the answer for that? Or are you fumbling because you're not making enough and you're embarrassed trying to tell them that they're going to make money and you want them to come into a company where you don't make any money? If that's what's in the back of your head, then you got problems. And the reason that you would be nervous about that is because you don't know who you are. You don't realize that you're the manager in training who's learning how to manage a successful business from home, and your job is to schedule appointments for those directors and get them over where they can get their questions answered. Did you say Wednesday was good, Frank, or would Thursday be better? If you learn how to use that terminology, you'll be much more comfortable. It's not a fake. It's just that you don't have to answer questions that in the way that you think they should hear it or they think they should hear it. It's not your job. The fireman's job is not to direct everybody else. The spectator or the witness to that fire is not their job to run into the house. And it's not your job to answer all the questions the way that prospect thinks that you should, explaining comp plans that you don't know anyway. How do you get paid in this company? Will I make money? Is there really a chance? I've been through this before. If you understand the process, and if you understand who you are, you're very easily going to say, sure, Frank, that's not a problem. You know what? Know what's different in our company? You're going to get paid in direct proportion to the effort you put forth. Have you ever felt like that you weren't paid what you were worth? In other words, you did a lot more work than you were paid for? Yeah, I really did. Well, great. You know what? The good news in this company is that's not going to happen to you, because you're going to be paid in direct proportion to the effort you put forth. If you do a lot of work, you're probably going to make a lot of money. If you don't do any work, you probably won't make any money. But again, you're going to be paid in direct proportion to the effort you put forth. So, Frank, what we need to do is get the information to you, get you over to the right people who can answer all the questions for you. So let's go ahead and set that appointment. Did you say tomorrow at noon was good, or would 2:30 be better? See, if you can't do that like that, you are never, ever, ever going to be able to pick up that phone with confidence. How do you learn that? These are things you learn in the class. Every question that could come up, we try to deal with in the class with answers. And when you get confident with who you are and realize you don't have to answer all these questions, you just have to have some answers. You have to have some sort of answer that moves them to the objective. The objective is to move them either to a director or to another appointment. And when you forget what the objective is, and you're hoping they're going to do this and hurry up and they're going to go down and they're going to buy a package and you're going to make money, you're losing. You're going to do the same thing you did for the last 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years. You're not going to move them forward. You're not going to build, because nobody's going to follow you doing that. I've watched this for 22 years, Mark, as you have, and people that don't educate themselves do not move forward. They can't. Some people get lucky. People somehow put people under them, and and I know that's happened here. It happens in every company, but it's extremely rare. Here's the memo. Study, get educated, use the right terminology, learn how to answer questions, and that equals confidence. You'll feel what these other people feel when you come out of that class, and that is the confidence to pick up that phone and not feel foolish because you learned who you are. So that's my message, Mark.
Great, Joe. You know what? I learned something, and I've got to say this. I want everybody to hear me out. You have actually shined off the 12-week plan this morning. And I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. It can be a 12-week plan, like you said. It can be a 3-month plan. It can be a 12-month plan. It's what you make it. Now, here's the thing that really stood out to me this morning. I've been going on and on and on, but I think we need to understand this. When we talk about terminology and perception, it has to make sense. Most of us say, knowingly and unknowingly, that we buy gold. But guess what? We don't buy gold. The terminology that we need to be using is that we exchange paper money for gold. We don't buy it. Because guess what? We still have the money. As a matter of fact, we have better money than we had before. And when you think about the fact that we can store it somewhere else to protect it, and we have a plastic card called a MasterCard that we can convert it back to cash if we need it, how cool is that? So think about what you said and what we're talking about. Terminology. Don't talk to people about buying gold. Talk to them about exchanging paper money for gold. Because now think about buy. Buy means you gotta spend money. When you are exchanging your money for current bonds, you're not spending money. You still have it. We need to understand that, and we need to get it in our head, and then we need to get it over to other people. Guess what? They'll feel better. They're saying, well, you know what? You're right. I'm not buying anything. I'm just exchanging because I still have it right here. I can look at it every day in my back office. As a matter of fact, I was showing my wife the other day at the dinner table. I said, Sugar, let me show you something. And I took her back to the back office and I said, this is what our gold is worth today. This is where it is. She said, oh, wow. So we weren't buying anything. We were just exchanging it, and we still had it and more. So, Joe, you just, I mean, you just made a light go off in my head. See, when you think you know something, maybe you don't know it as well as you think you do. And this is why you have to always have your mind open and your patent office open and be willing to listen to people, even if you think you know everything. Not that I think I know everything, because I know I don't. But my point is, if you listen and if you apply and if you understand terminology, because that's what it does, it creates perception. And if people have the wrong perception, if they have the perception that all I'm doing is spending money all the time, that's the wrong perception. But if you tell them what you're doing is you're exchanging paper money for real money, which is gold. It's been that way for 6,000 years. You still have it. You can go in your back office and look at it next day, next week, next month, next year. Do you realize what you've done this morning, Joe? I hope everybody caught that, because I just got a wake-up call.
Well, I think, Mark, we've heard this for so long that it becomes passive. You know, people don't realize. Look, people ask me in the early days of this company, and till this day I still get it, what makes you different from the other company? Now, I wonder how many people, if you'd like to be challenged with that, put in the chat box. What makes us different from any other company you've ever been with before? Or any other company out there. What makes us different? Put it in the chat box, and I'm going to answer that for you. Aside from getting the education by coming here, because you're not going to get anywhere unless you start this pursuit of excellence.
I tell you this, and I'm thinking about this, the one thing I want to do in this company, like any other company I've ever seen, is that I want to be garage qualified. That's what I want to be.
Yeah.
Garage qualified. It's the only company that I want to be garage qualified in.
Anybody putting in the chat there, Mark? Exactly.
Let's see. Thank you for the words of wisdom, of wisdom. I like that, Matt. So very right. Okay, I haven't seen anything yet. So they haven't put anything yet.
Let me explain this. Here's what makes us different. And this is what people, if they come up, now this question is not in the class, but I can promise you, and one announcement I'm going to make, I told Mark this morning, I'll tell that in a minute. The last thing I'll do is make this announcement. But one of the questions that's not in the class is what makes us different. Why are you so different? And I know that people think that because we're talking about we're going to be great, it'll be good here in our great company, but what makes you different? Why this company versus the other ones? What makes it all different? Here's what makes it different. Yes, we're exchanging cash for gold. Yep, we exchange that cash and we still have money. We still have that currency. So are we spending money? Well, in most people's minds, they're taking it from somewhere else and putting it over into savings. So they have to pull it from somewhere, but they're not giving it to other people. They're not buying a product that sits in the garage. What separates us from everyone else is that purchase of product is an asset. When you purchase a product from any other company, providing they're not doing the same thing with another company, buying or exchanging cash for gold or silver or whatever, every other company, your purchase is an expense. It's not an asset. You buy fruit, juice, berry juice, vitamins, minerals, tonics, potions, lotions. They're all expenses of your business. So you're taking that money and creating an expense account. That's what you're doing. And you have to purchase so much each month. Mark just said the word, garage qualified. And if you don't use that product, I mean, there's companies that you have to spend $150 a month to get paid properly. I've been with the company for 18 years now. 18 years, and I have to purchase $150 a month to qualify for my check. Well, $139, $140, I guess, with shipping. So I have to spend that every month to get my check. Once I purchase that, if I don't consume the product, it accumulates. If I don't use all of what I am ordering for my auto ship, I have product piling up in my garage, so to speak. And it is depreciating day after day. Why? It's certainly, what I can do is sell it. If I want to be a salesman, now I can sell my own auto ship. I'm not in the sales business. I'm in the education business. So in order for me to get that money back and to break even, I have to consume so much of it and sell the rest. And I don't get on the phone every day and try to sell that. So my $150 a month is an expense. I have to do that to qualify for my check. In Carrot Bars, when I spend $150, I still have it. It's now an asset that's becoming worth more and more money. And as Mark said, garage qualified, what he meant is, I hope I get more and more and more and more of that stored up. I can't imagine thinking of that in any other company, hoping you get more and more and more of it stored up. But here is the key to the entire thing. That part separates us, but here's the real separation. In the company that I am in, one of the companies that I spend that $150 a month, if 1 year from now, or from my purchase, or at any time, if I want to go to my closet, call the company and return the product and get my money back, what do you think the odds are of the company saying, sure, that's not a problem, Joe, let me give you your money back? In fact, let me give you a little bit extra, because you know what? It's worth more now. We'll just sell it to somebody else at a higher price. There isn't one company out there, unless they're a precious metals company, that's going to do that for you. They won't do that. Why? Well, you bought it to qualify, number one. You're an affiliate. They're not going to take your money back, take your product back and give you the money. They're not going to do that. That was your expense to get your check.
So you have to pay to get paid.
Pay to get paid. Got to get your product to get paid, which makes sense. I agree with that. I think you should. If you're in business, if you own the drugstore, you don't go down to another drugstore and make the purchases. You buy from yourself. And that's what that is. That's a purchase. You purchase it from your own account. You don't get paid for that one, but you get paid from all the others you do it. Now, in Carrot Bars, if you purchase something this month, next year, purchased it a year ago, now I said purchase, you know what I mean, took the money, the cash, turned it into gold, which you no longer have available to purchase anything else unless you do what? Cash it in again, right? And get cash where you can exchange it, where there's a place who takes actual paper money. Not going to take your Carrot Bar card yet here in this country, unless it's another affiliate. But if you call up next year and say, look, I have 3 ounces, I have 90 to 100 grams of gold in these cards embedded here, pure 24 karat 999.9, and I'd like to cash it back in, give me my money back, our company will give it to you. It's the only company that can do that. That's what separates us. You can take your product in here and go get the cash back. Now, if you do it too soon, you're obviously going to lose money. There's an expense for the company to get the product to you, and you're going to pay a fee. So obviously, if you bought an ounce of gold or a gram of gold today and then tomorrow said, hey, give me my money back, you're not going to get what you paid for it. There's a cash in value. Same as if you drove off the car lot with a brand new car and tomorrow you took it back. They're not going to give you all your money back. Well, after 3 days. They're not going to give you all your money back. That's not how it works.
Now, Joe, let's even go one better. In Carrot Bars, you can do this for free. Don't even have a package.
Yeah.
By just recommending other people, and you get compensated in the unilevel system for free. What company can you do that in?
All they have to do in this company is, as you said, they have to register and then make the decision whether you're just going to purchase or exchange cash for gold. But the difference between the two, and let me make this clear again, is that you can exchange that back into cash at any time. You can't do that in any other company with any other product. Can't do it. You have used it. It's an expense. And this is not an expense. This is an asset which will, over time, increase in value. So with that, let us say goodbye to you here this morning, and hopefully you understand that you really do need to get yourself educated, and that means you need to learn how to communicate your message and connect with people, and the only way to do that is to study, get your terminology down. Hopefully you've got a real answer now, what makes you different, and you should write that down. If you get off this call and you have 10 minutes of your time, sit down and make notes to yourself. What just transpired for you? What light bulb went on for you? The final realization of expense versus assets here? I don't know. I don't know what went off for every person. Everything's different. Everybody's different. They get something else out of it. If it's the realization of, wow, I really now do understand it's cash for gold, cash for gold. I'm creating an asset. It might be easier for you to help some of the people around you. Use the right tools. Don't try to do this all manually. Use the right tools. Get your message out there. Use the right platform, the right website, the right marketing funnel. Use it appropriately and learn how to follow up. Learn how to create the perception of being professional, whether it's a professional person in training or whether you are the director. So with that, we'll just close this out and say thanks for being here, and hopefully you can sit back today and make some notes, change some things in your life. Mark always closes with, change your life, change someone else's life, improve their life, make it better for them, in other words. So with that, for Mark Stevens, this is Joe Shoup. Hope you have a great day today, and take this education, put it in your mind, and get working on it, because that's the key and the catch to this business is you got to go to work, whether that means studying or actually making phone calls. Studying is aside from that 90%, but spend your time finding a new partner. And hope you're having a great day today. Mark, have a great day. We'll talk a little bit later.
Peace and blessings, everyone.